Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Wake Up and Get Wellthy. Hopefully you all know me. I'm Brett Stanley, and I am just waiting for our special guest, very special guest today. Once he joins, I will conference him in. Anyone know who our special guest is today? You don't want to miss this. We are going to be talking about swim safety. Okay, looks like there he is. All right, let's see. Hopefully, there he is. Hi, Lenny.
Hello, how are you?
How? There you are. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to speak with you this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here on Wake Up and Get Wellthy. This is our morning show that we do a couple times a month for JCC Dallas. So I wanted to introduce you real quick to all of our viewers. Our very special guest, Lenny Krayzelburg, who is a four-time Olympic gold medalist and also CEO and founder of Lenny Krayzelburg and Swim Academy. So Lenny, thank you again for being here. You have done a lot for us in the past, participating in Wealth Week for our J Baby event, which was really fun. So I wanted to first just start off and ask you about your career and, how you got started swimming, why it's such an important part of your life.
Well, first of all, I'm excited to be here. It's been a while, obviously with COVID and everything we've been through over the past year, haven't had a chance to actually visit the J in person, and hopefully we'll do so soon. But I started swimming like most kids start swimming. My parents wanted me to be around water. They wanted me to be water safe. They wanted me to learn how to swim. I grew up in Ukraine and a city called Odessa, which is on the water, on the Black Sea. So it was very important to know how to swim. And my parents got me into the sport, and I really fell in love with it. I was pretty good at it. At an early age, I don't want to say I excelled tremendously, but I was definitely good. I stuck with the sport, and moving here to the United States when I was a teenager, I continued swimming. I wasn't a really good swimmer throughout my high school years. It took a little time until I actually matured, both physically and mentally, into around 20 years old when really my career took off, when I went on and swam at University of Southern California, and eventually had an opportunity to make the U.S. national team and go to 2 Olympic Games and win 4 Olympic gold medals.
So that was in 2000 and 2004, right?
That's correct. It was 2000 were the first games in Sydney, Australia. I won 3 gold medals there. And in 2004 in Athens, I got another gold medal on the relay. I was a captain of U.S. Olympic swim team, which was a tremendous for me. And, this sport has been incredible for what it has done for my life.
Yeah, so we could definitely say you're pretty good, right? So you bring up a really good point, when you first started saying how your parents wanted you to be swim safe, right? We all know that May is Swim Safety Month. And I have a almost 5-year-old myself, so being swim safe, water safe is really important to me. Can you give us a couple of tips on, as summer's approaching, what are some of the things you tell parents to help them be swim safe and their kids be swim safe?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important that you do get kids into swim lessons. I think that that's really important. And in swim lessons, I think it's important that everyone around the kids talk about the importance of being water safe and how that is the most crucial thing. In terms of parents and in terms of safety when they're at home, obviously, I think it's really important that when little kids are around, that you keep your doors closed, your windows closed, especially if you have a pool in the background. Definitely having gates around the pool are really important. The other thing I would really recommend and suggest that if you do have a lot of toys that kids like to play in the pool with, that you take them out, especially when the pool is not used, because obviously that's a huge attraction for kids to go and jump and play. So I think it's really important. And the other really key thing that I believe is, a lot of parents tend, like to bring someone to look after the kids, whether it's a babysitter, whether it's there's a party, there's a lifeguard or someone. So I think it's really important that people that they do bring in is that they know how to swim, they're water safe, they know the safety rules, and also that they're also CPR and first aid certified, because you obviously want to have people around that know how to react if, God forbid, there is an emergency.
Yeah, and I think I read this on the Swim Right Academy Instagram page, because y'all have a lot of really great tips for summer coming up, right? About how, as parents, we shouldn't assume that like someone else is watching the kids, right? So if you have two parents home, or if you have, a group of friends, right? Not to assume that like, okay, we left this person with the kids and they're definitely going to be watching the kids, right? So to take that assumption out and like have a definite plan of, okay, this person is watching the kids from this time to this time.
Yeah, that when we talk about safety, when we talk about little kids, assumption is the last thing you want to do.
Right.
You really want to have a plan. And a lot of times, I think we go back to fundamentals. I think just you want to have a plan in life, right? And this is just as important. This is so much more important in terms of, having a plan when it comes to safety and when it comes to around water. I mean, we all know the statistics are scary in terms of drowning, but it's also so preventable. And I think you have to be proactive, and you have to be constantly proactive in order to put the safety net around what you're doing when kids are around water.
Yeah, and I really like the point you brought up too about not keeping the toys in the water. I never really even thought of that, but like, taking that temptation away from the kids, because I know, I mean, my 5-year-old, he sees something shiny and that's where his attention goes. So that's a really great point that I never even thought of. And so, thinking about, having this plan, taking maybe temptation out of the water, right? Talking to kids, having, the talk about water safety. How can we draw that line between swim safety and fear, right? Because, I sometimes struggle with helping my child, not to be afraid of the water, but we probably need them to have some sort of, hesitation about the water, right? So where's that line? What's the boundary?
Yeah, well, first of all, the element of fear, especially in water safety, I do think it's important. I think there needs to be respect for the water. And I think there needs to be a respect for the water, whether you're a little kid swimming or an adult. I will tell you, I was in Mexico a couple of months ago, and in Cabo, and the waves are actually, the way it breaks, it's pretty uncomfortable. So, obviously being a very proficient swimmer, I still was very cautious how I got into the water and how I got out of the water. And, you're talking someone that is as good as it could be in the sport. So I think having that respect is really important, and understand there is always a safety element that you have to keep in mind. So with kids, and especially when they're learning how to swim, I think it's really important that it starts at home in terms of how you talk to them, how important it is to respect, to make sure you're around people that can help you be safe, that you can build a relationship with an instructor that's teaching you how to swim. I think it's important, and we at Lenny Krayzelburg Swim Academy and Swim Right Academy, we've talked about that learning how to swim doesn't always have to be fun. There are certain things that you must do in order to be safe, and it doesn't always have to be fun. You have to go through that process. You have to go through that uncomfortable moment in order to get to the next level, where you are becoming comfortable, where you are starting to appreciate the water a lot more. And that's really a relationship that gets built between a child, an instructor, and a parent. And that's a constant communication. You know, the instructors at home, the instructors spending time with a child, you know, for 30 minutes, maybe once a week or twice a week, but it's the parent that's always with the child. So I think that talking about it is at home is really important.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from that is discomfort is actually part of the process, right? Which is really interesting, because I think as parents, we never really want our kids to be uncomfortable, right? It's hard to see our children be uncomfortable. And I know that, you know, when I've watched my son at swim lessons and he's having a hard time, it's hard to watch, right? But it's part of the process. And, you know, putting on my mindfulness hat here, I talk a lot about mindfulness. We are taught to kind of observe these emotions as they arise and not necessarily fight them, but just kind of welcome them and be curious about them, right? And so instead of, you know, fighting that discomfort and saying, okay, I don't ever want to be uncomfortable, actually welcoming it and becoming curious about it. So to me, I see a big similarity between and parallel between mindfulness and the process of learning how to swim, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really feeling it. You know, you want to, you know, visualize it, feel it, and go and not fight it, but rather accept it, and also accept the fact that you're doing something that is beneficial. And you know, when we talk about at a highest level of sports, when you're training to something, you talk about you must go through that discomfort. You almost have to experience it all the time to get to the level that you want to get to achieve something. When you break it down, you know, at the most basic level, I also think it's really important to be mindful of what that feels like and what the experience is like, and really, you know, go through it.
Yeah. I think that you bring up a really good point too about, you were talking about, you know, when you're swimming, actually, you know, feeling it, right, and experiencing it as a mindful process. And you know, I think of that quote too about, you know, that quote that always circulates about, you know, discomfort is where growth happens, right? And so I'm, you know, talking about how you've seen that as an athlete as well, and then tying in the mindfulness piece, which is, you know, really a big part of mental health, right? And I know that we've talked before about how swimming can be really impactful on mental health. So I'm curious to hear from you, you know, how swimming has impacted your own mental health.
Yeah, swimming has been really good for me, especially over the past, since I really retired. And for me, I still swim regularly. And for me, swimming is really that experience where I can go, a place where I can go into and just relax, in terms of just let my mind meditate. It's just simple as saying it. It's a meditation for me. It's just going through the pool. It's, you know, it's going through the motions of just swimming strokes, but also allowing your body just to be free. And I think it's really important. Obviously, we're all involved in the daily grind of life, and there's so much on our, you know, plates, and there's so much that's around us that becomes a bit overwhelming to manage. And when you can find an activity that you can do where you can really get into, you can tune yourself out. Obviously, you can't use a phone, which is always, that's a perfect go-to, you know, activity, because you can't use the phone. If you do a lot of dry land workouts, there's still a phone in your hands. But it's a place to yourself, and it's also water. I mean, we know that water is meditating to begin with. So when you're in the water, around water, you know, you sit by the beach and you listen to the waves, it just calms you down. It emotionally calms you down. So, and that's the experience I go through. That's the experience I would recommend everyone to try to put that into their regular well-being routine.
Yeah, I kind of think about, the mindfulness kind of premise of being in the present moment, right? And I don't know that I can think of really anything more, important than like swimming to bring you into the present moment, right? Because like you said, you can't have your phone. I'm sure there are people who have tried, right? But you can't have your phone. And you have kind of this like tangible, you can feel the water, you can hear the water, right? You can hear the waves, you can hear the sound of your body in the water, right? When you're, doing the strokes and everything. So to me, this practice of getting in the water is just really what mindfulness is about. So, you know, kind of going with that too, what about breathing? What about breathing techniques when you're in the water? Breathing is such a big part of mindfulness and really can help you with, stress management, mental health. So how does that tie in?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting that you talk about breathing. Obviously, getting oxygen into into our systems, into our body, an abundance of oxygen. It actually helps, obviously, to function better, to calm your nerves. With swimming, it's inevitable. You can't avoid it, so you have to be able to really get in the routine of proper breathing and be mindful of that. And especially if you want to be an efficient swimmer. And that's also really important. If you want to go through the process of just doing strokes, breathing is so important. For me personally, I also do breathing exercises as part of my daily routine. I don't know how many of the viewers know Wim Hof.
I love
Wim
Wim
Hof.
Hof.
Wim Hof. Yeah, so I mean that's been over the past year and a half has been part of my daily routine. His breathing exercises, which are so good for just kind of resetting your body and you feel so, you just feel so fresh after you go through the exercises and you become more efficient. I mean, you just become more efficient going through the day. You manage the tougher moments and situations during the day very differently emotionally when you've been able to prepare your mind and your body to be in that state of, I guess, Zen. To me, really, it's a state of Zen if you actually go through the exercises and make that as part of your routine.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it, like breathing helps kind of calm down the central nervous system, right? So kind of helps you get out of that fight, flight, or freeze response. And I know we didn't talk about this for on the show, but Iceman Hof, Wim Hof, part of his whole thing is the cold water therapy too. I've been doing cold showers the past couple of months. I don't know if you have, but it also helps me feel so refreshed and kind of also gets me out of that like fight, flight, or freeze stress response. So his breathing techniques and the cold water therapy too have been game changers for me.
Great. Yeah, I've been a cold shower person for a number of years.
That's awesome.
And every day. And it like just like you said, I mean it's a changer. Your day starts very differently when you come out of the shower, standing there under cold water for a minute or two.
Yep,
And
exactly.
you feel a drastic difference too. I haven't been consistent in ice bath. That's the next step.
Yeah.
But I did do that when I was competing. It was more for a recovery. I think
Right.
there'd be a bit more appreciation for the process now of if you do go through the ice baths and the impact it can have.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned Wim Hof. So I want to ask if anyone has any questions, any of our viewers, before I ask our final question. Reve says she loves warm showers. I do too. But as a person who has been very I get cold very easily, and I do not like being cold. But this process of starting the cold shower, just like anything, it's uncomfortable, right? Like we talked about before, it is uncomfortable, but that's where the growth happens. And it's kind of taking those steps. The same thing, like the first time I did cold shower was maybe 5 seconds, right? And then you kind of work your way up, just as probably you do with the process of swim lessons and really anything else that you're training for. So it kind of circles back.
And then, Brett, and then if I can just add, I think that's where the breathing also comes in, right? That's where you actually start controlling your feelings, and you becoming mindful of taking deeper breaths, and you're focusing on that. And it goes back to the importance of breathing and how you manage any situation that you're uncomfortable with. So I think that getting used to cold shower, it's actually, he talks about that quite a bit. It's actually, it's all in the breath.
The breath and the mental part of it too. I know you talked about. So Reve asks, so no gasping when it's cold, which our body automatically tends to gasp, right? But yeah, if you focus on the breath and the breathing, I think that can help with that, kind of gap part of it.
Yes.
So, Lenny, final question for you. This is kind of a personal question. Hopefully it'll help some people too. I know how to swim, right? But I'm not a great swimmer. Is it ever too late to start swimming as an adult? What are the best?
No, it's definitely never too late to start swimming. I mean, we've seen so many instances where people start in their 60s, 70s, and it's a matter of wanting, taking a first step, obviously, taking action. Obviously, if people living in Dallas, JCC Dallas is a perfect place to start. Our program there, you start from infants to adults, but really anywhere that there's a pool access to, there are usually a program that teaches lessons if you're not comfortable with it. If you are comfortable and swimming, it's obviously always just find time. I think the most important thing is to take action. You obviously have to take the first step and then be consistent with it. I think that's really important. But no, never too late. It was interesting enough. I was doing a master's event, master swimming event a couple of months ago. That was a lady there, 98 years old.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was incredible. I mean, she was just going her laps, and it was just so refreshing to see. And it's humbling. It's just humbling to see someone that makes healthy living her priority, and on an everyday basis. It just it puts things in perspective. And so when you're talking about age doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I if a 98-year-old can go swim some laps, right? I have no excuse. So
exactly.
And I'm a big fan, I'm a big fan of mirroring, right? So, with kids, right? So I want my son to see me swimming and comfortable swimming, right? Because I think that would help, his confidence too. I'm a big fan of that whole we do the same things to show our kids how to do it, right? And not necessarily instructing them, but also modeling it for them, right?
Yeah, it's all, we got to live by example. We got to show our kids the path. And especially when you're talking about healthy activities and healthy lifestyle. And then it opens up a different world, right? When he's proficient swimmer, then you're going to the pool, then you're going to the beach, then you're going to the ocean, then you can experience things together, right. Which is part of that bonding that you want to continue to create and build experiences that when he is 35, he'll remember those.
Right. Oh, I love that. He's 5 years old now, but I feel like he's going to be 35 tomorrow.
Well, they do grow up fast.
So fast. We have one question from Reve. She says, what do you feel about saltwater pools?
Saltwater pools are definitely better on the skin.
Okay.
It's obviously been something that has been talked about and promoted. It's just cleaner chlorine. at the end of the day, because salt has a chlorine chemical combination in it. It's just the way it breaks down. So what goes into the water is a lot cleaner chlorine, and it's softer on the skin for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then Ella said that we have many 80+ members swimming every day at the J, which is awesome. So never
that's
too late.
Wonderful. Yes,
Yep.
never too late.
Well, Lenny, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much. I wanted to do a quick just recap of kind of my key takeaways from today. Not making assumptions, right? So not making assumption that someone's watching your kids, or not making assumptions that if you're a 4-time Olympic gold medalist, that you can brave the waves of the biggest waves in Cabo, right? And just having that respect for the water is so important. And then embracing discomfort, right? And allowing it to be part of your process and allowing it to help you grow as well. And then it's never too late to start swimming. So Lenny, thank you so much for being here. I am so appreciative. I'm so lucky that I got to be on here to interview you. It's always lovely talking to you. And you can find Lenny at Swim Right Academy on their Instagram, right? And if you have any questions, just let us know. We're going to post this up on our Instagram page. So thanks for being here, Lenny.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate having time to talk and kind of share my experiences, my thoughts, and my suggestions.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you,
as
bud.
always, get wealthy, Dallas. Bye.
Thank you.